Hello everybody, Mr. Pilgrim here, coming at you with the last video in our Platinum Trophy Guide for Code Vein. In this video, I'm going to go over everything else that should be left for you to do in the game. As of now, you should have gotten both the good ending and the secret ending, which is tied to the good ending. You should be pretty much set stat-wise and have pretty much, as of right now, my 27 blood codes. Now, the last one that you can get in your first playthrough is going to be found in the depths, which is also a target of the last couple of things that we are going to talk about before moving on to New Game Plus. So, as of now, you should also be trying to get all of the vestiges and restoring all of those memories, as those are also tied to a trophy. Luckily, you can go through and actually skip most of these vestiges. If you don't care about the story or the side characters, you'll simply load in like so. Of course, I will try and show you if it will load in a fair amount of time, hopefully. But as soon as you load in, what you can do is you can just hit the options and then it will skip all the way through the whole vestige, and we'll skip having to walk through all of that, something I think Fallout 4 should take into consideration. Jokes aside. But in doing so, this should be cleaning up the last of the memory trophies that you have to get.
It's possible that there's something I could be on back then. I'm not in. Did they have to be so rude?
But yeah, so now, like I said, is moving on to the last couple things to do, and that is going to be, we are changing the build. So we're finally going to be taking off the Atlas, and we're actually going to be switching to, where is it? The Ishtar Blood Code. There's a reason for this. Don't worry about the loss of weapon damage, that is perfectly fine. But from here, we're actually also going to be changing our garb to the Noble Silver garb as well. Now, a couple of things that you will need to grab after doing so is you will need to grab, if you happen to have any spare points, you will need at least one Atlas Chrome, and as well, you will also need
the red mist, in any
my bad, one Prometheus Chrome. Now, if you're trying to get all of the weapons from everybody, then this is going to suck. But you will need this at least. I will go into detail now about that. So, reason why we're changing our blood code and our blood veil is simple. As I found a really cool, simple guide that is also going to go into one of the things I'll talk about here in a minute. And I'll also leave a link to the original video for the YouTube channel Zygma, who made the guide. It is basically a really powerful two-handed build. It can be altered and changed based on what you want to go for, but basically what it is putting on the Prometheus will make it an alleviation, so it'll just make it overall a lighter blood veil. This will also go into the build, and then what you're going to use is the Atlas blood code or chrome on the Argent Wolf King blade to make it a fortification. This will just make it a little bit heavier but give it some more damage overall. But the reason for the build is simply because of a couple of things that you're going to want to put on. Let's see if I even have some of them. If not, that's fine. I will simply just show you. The reason why we're switching to the Ishtar is because the overall amount of I-Core that you will receive is pretty good. Of course, you're going to be putting on your two-handed sword mastery. The only downside is one of these passive items we do not have. You're also going to do your weapon drain rating. This will mean that you'll get more I-Core from attacking enemies and things like that, so you'll be able to use your I-Core more often, and this will also go into your main weapon. But from here, we're also going to be grabbing a couple of things from some other blood codes. First one we want to find is IOs, you want to grab the Bridge to Glory. Of course, you also are going to want to make sure that you max it out. That way you can put it on any blood code. We'll also be grabbing the Elemental Wall from her. Do note, if you can't, if you don't have any of the awakes to max out its proficiency immediately, that is perfectly fine. Then we're going to find Murasame's. Now, from her memories, you're going to want to get the Swift Destruction passive. This will go into play as one of the rules for the build. And then another thing is you're going to want to make sure that you have the Hasten as well from Louis. This will just also be really good. Trying to also remember. Then you're also going to want to have the Overdrive from the Assassin. So overall, it's basically going to be damage, damage, and damage. 3 things that buff your damage, and then the last one that you're going to want to grab is... I know I've seen it somewhere. I believe it is a passive from one of Eva's. Harmonia. Yes, it is the Supernatural Blood. That one you don't have to learn, it'll automatically be a part of your skills. Just can't find it somewhere. That is weird. But anyways, overall the build is just going to make sure that you are can't talk right now. You're lowering your equip load to go into that passive that will give you more attack power the lighter you are. Of course, you're still using a pretty strong weapon to make sure that your damage output is fine, and then you're also using 3 buffable iCore powers to overall increase your straight damage. Now I will show the gameplay of this and you will understand why it is so good. You're also going to be using the Fatal Surge communal gift with Jack, so you're also going to be having Jack as your partner. But now I'm going to skip to when I get everything assembled so you can see what it looks like. There is the one passive item that you can't get right now because we've done the good ending, and that is Revenant, one of the Revenant items. It's really good and goes into the build as well, but the rest of the build still works just fine from what I've tested on other characters. Alright, as you guys can see, I finally have most of the build going. So it's Blood Sacrifice, Overdrive, Bridge to Glory, and Adrenaline is the main damaging things that you can do. I then have Hasten, Elemental Wall, just in case I want to add extra single hit damage every now and then, Blow of Madness, and then Fatal Surge. That's going to come into play while using Jack as your companion. Like I said, you're going to be using the Noble Silver Alleviation and then the Argent Wolf King's Blade with Fortification. I also highly recommend fully upgrading both of these. Like I said, you can always go and farm the Queen's Tungsten. I'm going to be rocking the Two-Handed Sword Mastery skill, the Weapon Drain rating up, and sadly I don't have the other 2 just yet, but one of them we can get from going through the depths. Now before going into the depths though, I will say that you have to do a couple of the side quests that are found throughout the game. Yes, I know that is a bit annoying, but it is what it is. Also, do note that when you fully upgrade a Blood Veil and a weapon, that will also get you 2 trophies in itself, as well as also having a total of 50 gifts mastered and able to be inherited will also get you a trophy, as well as having a total of 150 gifts learned. That doesn't mean you have to have them mastered, you just have to have them acquired through the missile. So that will be another 2 trophies. But from here, the first side mission I recommend doing is going to the parking garage. Once you have made it here, though, you'll basically talk to this guy right here, the self-important revenant. He'll basically give you a quest to go defeat a tough Lost over at the next missile that you can teleport to. It's something I highly recommend doing. Do note that out of all of the side quests that you can do, there are only 3 that you absolutely have to do, so don't worry about having to do all of them, it's just these 3. But from here, we're going to teleport over to that area, defeat the enemy, and then we're going to come back, and that is going to continue the quest. I'm going to skip going and killing it and just coming back. That way you can tell when you successfully move on to the next step of his quest. Alright, after you have taken out the Lost, he will then move on, and then from here the next quest we're actually going to do is in the underwater area. So if we teleport here to the Hills of Deception. Alright, upon loading into the area, you will find Richard. First thing you gotta do for him is find his sleeping bag. Luckily, it is not too far away. So from here, you'll simply just come and grab his sleeping bag for him.
Would you look at that?
Bring it back to the poor guy, and then we can move on to the next area. Do note, upon doing these, you will have to be going back and forth between some of the areas, so teleporting to one of them will help you find whether or not this is the area you need to be in. So from here, we're now going to teleport to the dried up trenches, the first one, of course. Once you're here, you'll meet the 3rd person whose questline you're going to be doing, and that is Gustav. He basically wants you to gather files. There's going to be 3 of them that you'll have to find. Of course, while we're here in the area, though, we're going to quickly go to the decayed ship interior. Once you're here, though, you can talk to the self-important revenant. This will give you a new map for the depths. Of course, you will then have to go and do that quest for him in the depths. But from here, what we're going to do is we're now going to go to the Cathedral of the Sacred Blood. We're going to specifically go to the Outlook Tower. Once you're here at the Outlook Tower missile, the file that you're going to find is pretty close by, luckily. So you'll just come right here. Then you can go right back to Gustav, and then he will give you the next area that you're going to go to. I'll probably skip to that area now, as it'll save time. You just have to find 3 of these files and take them back to him, of course. After taking Gustav, the first file, you're going to want to come to the Fridge of Frozen Souls first missile.
Don't lose your footing.
This is where we'll find our next quest line for Richard. As I'll show off right here, the heavy attack of the weapon and why we are running the build that we do. The heavy attack for this weapon is one of the fastest for the two-handed class, and upon doing so you can also get some Ichor back from it. But from here you're basically going to follow the path that I take, and we're going to head back down this little area here. Finally grab the antifreeze, dropping down. As you'll see right here, we'll find Richard. He'll ask us to defeat a tough lost just up ahead. It's not these two right here. As you'll see, like so. But the downside, of course, is you have to run all the way back around to just even talk to him. You pretty much have to fully complete Richard's questline in order to get one of the maps for the depths. Oop, almost forgot what I was doing.
Looks like it was an observatory. Where the hell does this path lead?
But once we've done that and gone back to him, we can then simply just use a missile route to return to the last missile, and then we're going to teleport to the third missile of the area. My apologies, it is actually the fourth missile of the area, but close by you will find the file that we're looking for Gustav, right here. So now we can return to Gustav, and then we are also going to finish up the first bit of Richard's questline. So yeah. So like always, you're going to return back to the dried depths. After giving Gustav the next letter, we're actually going to go to the natural cavern depths. From here, if you just run straight up, you will find Richard.
This place is
He will once again ask you to defeat a very tough Lost around the corner, which we are pretty much going to do. Just like that. And then, as of now, we'll be basically done with all the steps that you can do for Richard. The rest will come from Gustav, and then the last thing that we want to do now is go and find the third file for Gustav, so I'm going to do that now. The third and last document can be found at the parking garage. You'll simply come up
right there.
and backtrack the way you normally come through the area.
Careful of any blind spots.
And you'll find the file right here. Pretty simple. So from here you'll basically go and give the file to Gustav, and then I will show you the next missile that you'll have to go to where you'll find Gustav. So from here, if you go all the way to the Ashern Cavern, you'll want to go to the Accumulator Ruins missile, and that's where you'll end up finding Gustav. Like I said, after you give Gustav the third file, you'll then come to the Accumulator Ruins missile, and you'll find him right here. He'll basically give you a map to a new area in the depths, which you'll have to go to. So from here, the last two things that you can do so far of the 3 quest lines is going into the depths. Like I said, the depths is probably the last thing that you'll end up doing in your first playthrough before moving on to New Game Plus. So we're going to quickly go through those areas of the depths, as they shouldn't be too hard, especially with this build that we're running. And then we're going to come back, talk to Gustav, and then we'll obviously... We're pretty much finished with the one Revenant in the dried up trenches, as doing his questline any further doesn't really matter. But from here, we're just going to finish Gustav's and Richard's questlines. So I'll see you once we've done that for him, and then we can continue from there. After you've gone through those 2 new depths and done those things, you can then come back and talk to Gustav.
True, I could crit one.
And here he will start talking about rebuilding a new shelter. So then what you can do is, if done properly, you can then go all the way back to the natural cavern depths. My apologies, we actually do have to fully complete the self-important Revenant. So you'll simply bring back your information to him, and then what you're going to want to do is head to the butterfly. the poisonous butterfly nest missile. Alright, after loading in, as you'll see,
Oh,
he will mention something about
activated.
activated missiles. Now, this will be a little bit confusing, but don't worry, I got you. From here, you're basically going to teleport to your memory, the research facility area. Alright, when you load in, as you'll see, you'll simply just turn around and go the opposite direction and head towards the meeting area, I guess is what you'd call it. But coming over here, you'll simply come right here, and here is where you'll find the missile agent. So now we'll return to the dude at the butterfly. So yeah. Once again, you'll come and talk to the guy and you'll give him the stuff. Now from here you can basically reload the area or simply just teleport to home base and then come right back. To reload the area you'd have to just save and return a title screen. I think it's easier just to teleport away and then come back. After reloading the area, he will mention something about a new place to go to. So now you can finally head and talk to Richard in the natural cavern depths. If done correctly, Richard should be up here just around this bend.
This place is still gloomy though.
He will also mention the new area, and you will get the Rocky Ruins depths map. Do note, while in the Rocky Ruins is where you'll get your last blood code, and that will be the Scout blood
Keep
code.
yourself safe out there.
So now we can move on to the next thing to talk about, and to show off as well. I will show off the build, of course, when fighting probably one of the more annoying boss fights found within the depths. Now this is the base game depths that you have to do, not the additional depths that they've added, but I will show off the build and then I will go over what is to do next. Alright, as you can see here in the Void District, I'm going to be showing off the build. So you start off by just simply doing all of your buffs that you can. Then when you run out of Ichor, you use your blood sacrifice to get you the last bit that you need. Healing when you can. And then once you have enough Ichor to use the bottom ability with Jack, you'll fully heal up because after activating it, you can no longer heal yourself for a certain amount of time, of course. Then as you'll see from here, once we can and the blade bearer is able to take damage, as you'll see, and that is the build overall. Afterwards though, the Cannoneer will buff himself and now can use ice. Bit annoying, but we persevere. Of course, rebuffing when we can. But just like that, we'll have the amped up version of the Blade Bearer and Cannoneer done. This will also get you some Queen's Tungsten and things like that. So as of now, you should have all of the major depths done of the base game. So then from here, if you want, just simply go and activate all of the Tower of Trial missiles, and that will get you 100% mapping on those. Now in doing so, that should get you the trophy for the depths, for fully exploring them and mapping them. So yeah, now I'm going to be showing you how to farm Marks of Honor or Medals of Honor. Now you can do this
What's up?
now,
Notice
or you
something?
can wait until you are absolutely done and this is the last thing you have left to do in the game. But regardless, I'm going to show you how to do that, and that is going to be on the Tower of Trials 1. Just the first Tower of Trials, not the second or the third. Alright, on a small side note, if you happen to be like me and happen to miss the Zero District depths, it is on the way from the Queen's Knight Reborn to the next area to fight the Skull King. You'll go down a ladder. I will leave a link to a detailed guide on all of the depths in case you want to double check and make sure that you've done everything right and gotten all of them, of course. But from here, I'm now going to be showing you guys how to farm the Marks of Honor on the Tower of Trials 1 map. So yeah. Alright, once everything is said and done and you are ready to move on to New Game Plus, and the last two things you have to do, last three things you have to do are getting all of the endings, getting their 30 presents, which will carry over into New Game Plus, don't worry, and then farming your 400 Marks of Honor. You'll come to the Tower of Trials 1, and then from here, you'll basically run through the simple guide that I'm going to show you. Once again, I'd like to thank Zygma for uploading his original video showing off the build and how to do this. So from here, like always, you will go through the stage of buffing, using your blood to gain back some ichor. And then activating your bond with Jack. You'll then jump down here. You'll defeat this enemy here. And then we'll head down to the next area where the Lost will invade. You'll just start taking them out one by one. As you'll see, your overall damage should be doing just fine. Once that is done, if you have to, you can rebuff. I'll highly recommend just waiting for everything to come back.
I'll consider it.
Make sure you're fully healed up. Then once again activating the bond with Jack. We can then drop down here, and you'll be fighting the Butterfly of Delirium. I recommend just getting a one attack off. As you'll see, it will buff, and then just like that, you will get 2 Marks of Honor. Now do note the first enemy actually does have a chance of dropping a Mark of Honor, but upon doing so, you'll then just go back to the missile, and that is how you will farm Marks of Honor. Like I said, it's not the best way, but, well, it is one of the best ways that you can do it. At least that I know of and have seen. That doesn't take long, and with the build we're already going for, it works out great. But from here, all that you should have left to do is get your remaining 2 endings of the game, the bad and the neutral ending. For the bad ending, I recommend doing that on your next playthrough of New Game Plus, and to do that, just simply don't restore any of the vestiges for the successors. And when you're in the memory, just walk out behind them. Now, in doing so, that will also get you the last 4 blood codes
Better
that
than
you need.
neglecting your equipment, I guess.
So do keep that in mind. And then you beat the game again. And then on your 3rd playthrough, you will have to then at least save 1 successor. I recommend just doing the successor of the breath because all of the vestiges are pretty easy to find and they're not super scattered. But yeah, and then that will get you the last 2 endings of the game, and then that will also get you the secret trophy for seeing all endings of the game. And then, like I said, the last thing you should have to do is also get your 30 gifts. Now you can check to see how many gifts you have by going to your inventory and then hitting up. It'll be all of these items that have the unique little stripe on it. So right now I have 12, so I still need 18 because you need 30 in total. Basically just going through, knowing where all of the items that you can give are, finishing up giving those to the rest of the people will get you that trophy over your next 2 playthroughs, as it'll just be periodically that you'll check at the missile and see when the items are given to you, of course. And then, if you really want to grind out your Marks of Honor right now, you can, or you can wait and go into New Game Plus, or New Game Plus Plus whenever you want to do it. I would recommend doing it now before going into New Game Plus while the, HP and damage of enemies is still effectively low. But that is going to be the end of the Platinum Trophy Guide for Code Vein. I do hope that this set of videos has been helpful or informative in some way, shape, or form. I do wish y'all luck in grinding the Marks of Honor, because 400 marks is a lot of time spent grinding. But as always, this has been Mr. Pilgrim, and I will see you all in the next Platinum Trophy Guide.